Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Wilderness Wise podcast. I'm your host Gage Gall, and this month we are talking turkey. That's right, we are talking all about turkey hunting and the process to get on your bird. This is week 2. We are talking about the setup. If you missed week 1, go ahead and jump back one episode and watch that. That is going to be all about scouting, preseason, and scouting in the with electronics so that you can have a better chance of finding your birds. Today's episode is all about the setup. So what we're going to dive into is not scouting anymore, but how do you set up to give yourself the best success to take a turkey? So the best way to set up for a turkey. There is no best way. Every situation is going to be just a little bit different. You're going to have to play a little bit different based on a lot of different factors. What I like doing is not what everybody likes doing. Me personally, I like running a run and gun tactic, which means that I like to stay extremely mobile, run very light, and carry very little with me when going afield. By proxy, most of my guys run the same way. What does run and gun mean? Run and gun means that you are on the move all the time, chasing down birds, trying to figure out where these things are going to be at and where they're moving. You make adjustments on the fly. If a situation's not working out to your favor, you make it work out to your favor. So, with that being said, when I'm setting up on a run and gun, normally I do not like to run decoys. I found a few of them that work very well. A few different setups that work very well as well. The biggest thing that I'm looking for when I'm running a run and gun technique is a place where I can sit against a tree and find a tree that is as wide or wider than my shoulders. Turkeys have impeccable eyesight. That's why you'll see a lot of guys wearing full face masks, gloves, anything to prevent and break up an outline of a human being. Your tree is the same way. When you're sitting down, you want to make sure that you're picking trees that are going to break up your outline. So not this little tight 6-inch tree. It's not exactly what you want to be leaning against. A big old oak tree, some different types of trees that work well. Anything that's wider than your shoulders really will work well. Again, we're talking mostly about eastern wild turkeys, as I've not gotten the chance to hunt Rio Grandes or anything like that. That might change when you get down in the brush country of Texas. That might change down in Florida or up in Idaho. It just really depends. But what I like in Michigan is to be able to lean up against a tree with my knees up for a rest for my shotgun and to be able to sit there and put the bead down on a bird when he comes walking in. Make sure your gun is ready. Turkeys have a tendency to show up when we least expect it. You could have a bird that's gobbling 200 to 300 yards away. And you might call in a bird that came in quiet and pops out at 20 yards. Make sure your shotgun is at least up on your knees and ready to rock. You don't have to be looking down the bead the entire time, but you should have the shotgun up, ready to go whenever a turkey pops in. If you are running decoys, like I said, just because I'm not a fan of them doesn't mean that they don't work. And there are situations where they have worked for me in the past. My one caution with decoys, make sure that you know how to position them to be effective for you. Turkeys, as a general whole, expect hens to come to them. Toms go out and they display. They expect the hens to somewhat come to them. We are trying to fight that tendency by calling to them. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But a decoy you need to make sure it's facing the right direction to make that tom think that hen is leaving the situation, not staying. If the hen's leaving, what way do we want her to leave? We want her to walk through us. So if she's walking through us, the tom's going to give chase. And when he gives chase and catches her, we want him within shotgun range or bow range, whichever you decide to hunt with. So to get him within shotgun range, what I personally like to do is normally stick the decoy about 20 yards out in front of me, facing directly back at me, and make sure that she is in between me and where I think the gobbler is going to show up. Like I said, not always perfect, but if I think the gobbler is going to come from a direction, I want that decoy's butt facing him so he thinks that she is leaving the scene. And we say 20 yards because most effective shotgun ranges are somewhere in the 30-yard range. You should know that from when you pattern your shotgun, which we'll talk about here in a second. So there's a couple other setups we'll talk about. Another way to set up is you can set up in a ground blind, which is awesome. I mean, I've seen lots of new ground blinds out. There's a few of them that are just front cover only. There's a few of them that are full-sized. You can use pop-up blinds, all sorts of different kinds of blinds out there. The hub-style blinds are awesome. And I'll be honest with you, turkeys really don't seem to pay that much mind to a ground blind. The reason I don't prefer to use a ground blind is, like I said, I like run and gun tactics. If you're a guy that likes to pattern turkeys and just know where they're at and sit up on them and wait till they come to you, it's all well and good. Sit in a ground blind. I don't like to sit still for that long. I don't like to sit there and wait for turkeys. I would hands down rather go get the turkey if I needed to than I would have to leave a ground blind set up and go try to chase them down. And I know I'm hopping around a little bit in here, but one more note on decoys. There's a few different setups for decoys. You can run one decoy solo. Works perfectly fine. In that situation, I prefer a feeding decoy so the head's down. If I'm running two hens, I'm going to have one probably head down, one head up. It's going to look a little bit more realistic as if they're walking through the woods. I don't like two heads up because two heads up means I see something. And if the decoys are looking at you, you really don't want a tom looking a little bit more intently at you. And if I'm running two decoys, I'm putting them out 20 yards, V'd back towards me. You can run gobbler decoys. Guys have varied success with that, depending on what kind of gobblers they're after. Sometimes it turns them up, sometimes it turns them right off. They want nothing to do with it. And then what you see a lot on like outdoor channels and stuff like that is the breeding pair. So you have a turkey, a head-up turkey decoy that is all the way belly down against the ground with a tom decoy, like basically standing over top of her in kind of a breeding position. I've seen that work too. I've tried it once or twice. I've never had any success with it. Like I said, try at your own risk. I love run and gun technique. If we carry a decoy when we go, we carry one. And most of the time, that's all it takes. Actually, Rodney does an awesome job. He actually wraps a lot of the decoys in actual turkey feathers that he took. And they look really nice. A little bit of glue and some time, and then he turns a turkey decoy into something that's pretty cool. Back into the setups. I think that part of your setup is making sure that you know what your shotgun is patterned for. Every shotgun's a little bit different, man. So you really got to run some rounds through your shotgun to figure out what your range is, how far you can shoot, and getting effective at shooting your shotgun at that range. Your end goal is to put as many BBs in the head and neck of the turkey as possible. And we'll talk a lot more about that once we get to the end of the month. We talk about closing the deal. But right now, make sure you're out there patterning your shotgun. Make sure that you know what your spread of your shotgun looks like at different ranges. That way you know exactly what to expect when you get out in the turkey woods. I cannot stress that is part of your setup more often than not. Another part of your setup is looking for choke points. There's different areas in the woods where turkeys do not like to walk through. And a lot of the time, they're the same areas that you don't like to walk through. If you could choose to cross a creek without getting wet, would you choose to cross the creek without getting wet? My guess is the answer is yes. Turkeys would prefer to do the same thing. And if they don't have to fly, they don't want to fly. They will if they have to, but they don't want to. So pay attention to different choke points. Really thick brush. Turkeys don't really like the really thick brush. So if you find a place where like farmers mowed a path or something like that, chances are pretty good the turkeys are going to walk that path too, if they're going to be going through that area. So just pay attention to that. You can set up pretty easily. The one other thing with setups is make sure that you don't set up. You can set up with some front cover, but the main cover you need to worry about is your back. Like I said, that big tree behind you is the thing you really got to worry about. There's less with the front cover. It seems like turkeys, even though their eyesight is like impeccable, like it's like, I want to say it's like 100 times better than a human's, they seem to look right through you when you're calling at them. And I don't know why that is. I mean, unless you're moving extreme amounts, they have a tendency to just like look right through you and not even see that you're sitting there. And then patience and stillness is a virtue. Make sure that you are being patient and being still. Like I said in the last podcast, when a bird flies out of a tree first thing in the morning, he is going to sound like he got further away. Do not go chase that bird right away. Wait to see what he does and which direction he goes. Sometimes that bird flew down, he already knows where you're at, and he's coming to you already. It's easy to get impatient, jump up, start heading that way, and now suddenly you spooked a bird out that was already on the hook coming to you. Stay patient, stick with it. You'll do just fine. Other than that, I think this pretty much rounds out this episode of the podcast. If you guys have questions, don't hesitate to reach out in our email at wildernesswise@gmail.com. Also, don't hesitate to drop any more knowledge that I forgot to put in this episode if you're a veteran turkey hunter, because I know that I forgot to put something in here. We'd love to get it out. We'd love to give out advice. It's part of our mission, is to get people into the woods. So with that, go get out, plan your setups, and stay hidden. So until next time, stay wild, stay sharp, and as always, stay wise. We will catch you guys next time.